Hello everyone, today I'm going to be making something a little different in my kitchen today. It's meatballs in Ata Dindin and with a little twist. This is not the regular meatball sauce. It's basically a combination of peppers, tomatoes and onions, which is really fried and then spiced. So let's get started by making the meatballs. In an empty bowl, I'm going to be adding some breadcrumbs. I'm using the dry bread crumbs, but feel free to use a couple of slices of fresh bread if you have that. And to this, I'm going to be adding some beef stock, and I'll mix this together and set it aside so that the breadcrumbs can absorb the stock. After about 15 to 20 minutes, the breadcrumbs should look like this. Now I'm going to be adding these breadcrumbs to my freshly ground beef, and to that I'm going to be adding 1 egg, followed by some finely diced garlic, as well as some finely diced onions. Then I'll just sprinkle a little bit of parsley on this, together with some salt and pepper to taste. Then I'm going to mix this together until everything is well combined. But make sure you don't overwork the meat so you can be able to get the best out of your meatballs. I'm going to briefly set that aside. Then I'll be greasing my pan. And I'm going to be setting the pan aside as well. Now I'll just be dipping my hand inside some water and I'll scoop out the beef, then roll it out into the size of meatballs I want. I dipped my hand inside the water so it can make the rolling process easier for me. Now that I'm done rolling all the meat, I'm going to cover it up with a plastic wrap and I'll be placing it inside the fridge for about 20 minutes. After 20 minutes in the fridge, I'm going to be transferring it into my 425 degrees preheated oven, and I'm going to allow this to cook for about 20 to 25 minutes. But I'm going to turn it halfway in between the cooking process, and I'm going to return it back into the oven to complete the cooking process. And here is the final outcome. So for the sauce, I'm going to be using some red bell peppers, some plum juicy tomatoes, onion, habanero pepper, and garlic. I'll also be using some red chilies, but I was not able to get the fresh ones, so I bought the dry ones and I just soaked it inside water for about 20 minutes, just to soften it up a little bit. At this point, I'm going to be using the food processor to process my pepper, because I don't want it finely blended. As you can see, I already cut up the peppers so that the work can be easier for my food processor. It's kind of coarsely blended, which is what we want. Now I'm going to be preheating some palm oil inside a pan. And for my Ata Dindin today, I would like to mix it up with a little bit of groundnut oil. But feel free to either use palm oil or vegetable oil. It's still okay. Once the oil is hot, I'm going to be adding some diced onions. I'm not going to brown this onion. I'm just going to fry them until they are translucent. At this point, I'm going to be adding the blended sauce. Mix it together thoroughly. Cover it up and allow it to cook until the oil literally floats on top of the sauce. But feel free to stir it at intervals. This will prevent the sauce from burning. At this point, as you can see, the oil is already floating on top of the sauce, which is what we want. Then I'll mix this together. I'll now be adding some thyme, curry powder, salt to taste, and Bouillon Cube. Mix this together thoroughly and adjust the seasoning if there is a need to. Then I'll just be adding a little bit of stock to loosen up the sauce a little bit. Once you are okay with the texture, stir in the meatballs and cover it up. Then allow it to cook for a couple of minutes so that the meatballs can absorb the sauce. Finally, I'm going to be adding some fresh parsley over this sauce. And that is it. It's very simple and easy to put together. You can serve it with your pasta, your rice, your yam, or anything you can think of that can easily complement this delicious sauce. Thank you all for joining me. Until next time, I'll talk to you shortly. Enjoy.